Hey YouTube, God bless you today. This is not a morning nugget or morning nuggets. This is simply a video about fish. Y'all, there's a lot of scuttlebutt out there, a lot of confusion pertaining to the term fish. It can mean so many different things to so many different people, so many different types of people in different types of community. So the meaning it varies depending on how it's being used, and we're gonna go through some of that because you hear a lot of people say, "I'm offended when you call me that." And yes, you probably should be offended if you're not a part of a certain group. And then other groups say, "No, I'm not offended. That's just the vernacular or the term that we use with each other." So it depends on who's using it and where it's being used. Now we're gonna go through a couple examples. I just really want to demonstrate and put some perspective to it. A lot of people, a lot of YouTubers out there, this is not, like I say, this is not Morning Nuggets, my church group, and certainly this is not the Smart Show Live. This is just me coming, adding my commentary on the term fish. If you remember the movie, The Shawshank Redemption, when Morgan Freeman was talking, he was kind of explaining fish. And in that instance, fish is like a prisoner, a newcomer, someone who's just their first time in prison, who's just coming into prison. And of course, they're vulnerable and they're naive. And then, people take advantage of those prisoners, right? When you come in all vulnerable and some people say soft, the other prisoners can take advantage of you. And that's what fish means from that perspective. And I want you to take a look at the video. Well, not a video, but a clip, because I couldn't download the video. But just listen at the clip from the video where Morgan Freeman was talking in prison, and you can see the prisoners yelling, "Fresh fish." I think that's what they were saying, "Fresh fish, fresh fish." So take a listen and I'll come back.
The boys always go fishing with first-timers, and they don't quit till they reel someone in.
And if you sleep, you're gonna have night. Fat ass. If you dream, you're gonna be dreaming about me. Fat ass. Talk to me, boy. I know you're there. I can hear you breathing. I know you listen to these nitwits. You hear me? This place ain't so bad. Tell you what. I'll introduce you around, make you feel right at home. I know a couple of big old bull queers that just love to make your acquaintance. Especially that big white mushy butt of yours. God, I don't belong here. We have a winner. I want to go home. And it's fat ass by a nose. Fresh fish. Fresh fish. Fresh fish. I don't want to go home. I want my mother. I had your mother. She wasn't that great.
Okay, YouTube, hopefully that cleared that up. So in another instance, fish can be used in the drag community, yes, with drag queens. And in that instance, when fish is used, that's a compliment, right? So when drag queens using, this is not being derogatory, this is just facts. I'm just stating the facts, right? So when drag queens use the term, they compliment each other if you look at research. However, if the term is used elsewhere, it could be offensive. So you see why it's important to keep the term used in a certain community if you want it to mean that particular thing. If you don't want it to be offensive, then maybe the community need to use it within that community, or else somebody else may deem it to be offensive, because in another instance, fish does mean that maybe, the female part might have that, fish smell. I don't want to get too involved, get too detailed, but y'all know what I'm talking about. So it can be taken like that too if you do research. So be careful how you use it. Also, if you do research, fish also can mean intelligent, sexy, and hot. Right? So kind of like the drag community, right? When you say, "Hey, fish," or whatever, that's a compliment. But in another instance, it can also mean intelligent, sexy, hot, fit, you know, like a woman who has a nice fit shape. Fish can also be used to in that connotation. So in that sense, that's a compliment. But again, the culture, there needs to be understanding in that environment, right? Because you can't go and call everybody fish, because the first thing gonna come to their mind, you know, do I smell? Do I smell like fish? Or, you know, does it smell like fish? So we got to really be careful, right? And it also means, in another sense, I'm just looking at my notes here, it's a person who hadn't had its first kiss. Yes, when I looked at that, I thought that was interesting, right? So it's a first timer, just like the prisoner. Someone who's coming in prison the first time is considered a fish. So in this instance, it's someone who hadn't had their first kiss yet. And also someone who's inexperienced sexually, or a virgin. That's also considered a fish, right? And it also says the first year of high school. So somebody who's just coming into high school can be considered fish, just like that first time prisoner. So to me, it looks like there's a lot of definitions where it denotes someone experiencing something the first time, or someone who hasn't experienced at all, right? That's considered a fish. But you know, Pastor Nate is not going to come on without applying some spiritual implication on the term. Yes. So fish, you've seen the fish emblem, right, on a car. Maybe you can say, okay, that must be a Christian, that must be a believer, you know, or on the Bible, or, you know, you have emblems just in different places, just to let others know that, hey, I am a believer, or I am a Christian, or a priest may have that symbol. If you do research, there's a lot of spiritual significance on the term fish. And just to name a few, you remember Jesus fed the 5,000 with fish, right? So in that instance, fish represented abundance, yes, and provision. And y'all remember when Jesus told, I think it was Peter, but one of his disciples, it was time to pay taxes. He told them to go and catch the fish. And then the first fish you catch, dig in its mouth and get a coin out, get the money out, and you can pay your taxes. So in that instance, fish represented miracles, right? And of course, you had the money to pay your tax. So abundance and provision. So in that instance, fish is good. So yeah, call me fish when it comes down to stuff like this, because I want the blessings of God. I want to walk in the abundance. My God, have mercy today. And you remember when Jesus told Peter, after they were toiling all night, he said, now throw it back, go back out there again. And they had so many fish. And in one instance, Jesus said, cast your nets on the other side. And they caught so many fish that the net, I believe it says the net break. And they had so many fish. So in biblical implications, fish means abundance and provisions. And if we're going to look at it from that aspect, I don't mind being called fish, because I want the abundance. People, I hope that this kind of cleared it up a little bit. We just have to be mindful of the culture that we're in the setting that we use these different terminologies. Because if we're not careful, it could be offensive, right? And then on the other hand, it could be a compliment, as we discussed earlier. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's just my take. Everybody was talking about it, and I just kind of wanted to put my little 2 cents into it. All right, friend, thank you for listening. Remember to subscribe, like, and share the video. And please share this video if you feel like this can help bring some clarification to the streets. Thank you. Be at peace, not in pieces.